Right then, the album Made in Heaven. I suppose this is where I start the record player to begin the review. Now, can I just ask, why didn't you pick the game? You've got Another One Bites the Dust on there, crazy little thing called love. Fine, if I really didn't want to look at this album, I wouldn't have put it in the poll. Ever since I did my first review on The Miracle, many of you have wanted me to share my thoughts on Made in Heaven. The last time I listened to this album in its entirety was when I first got it. I was originally very excited to get my hands on Queen's 15th studio album. Although after listening to Made in Heaven all the way through, it was safe to say I was disappointed. This was due to the fact that I felt as if I'd heard quite a few of the tracks already. Sure, they were reworked, yet it wasn't the album I was expecting. But with that said, I still want to revisit the album, in the hopes that my thoughts may have changed on Queen's grand finale, Made in Heaven. Work began on Made in Heaven soon after Queen had completed their 1991 album Innuendo. At this point, Freddie Mercury sadly didn't have long left. Due to this, he recorded as many vocals as possible, with the instruction that the other band members would complete the songs later. Songs recorded during this challenging time were predominantly Mother Love, A Winter's Tale, and what would eventually become You Don't Fool Me. After Mercury's death, the surviving band members of Queen went back to the studio. It was 1993 and the three band members realised they wouldn't have enough material for a full album. Because of this, they decided to revisit and rework previously recorded work. This notably included certain tracks from Freddie Mercury's solo career. So if you haven't gathered already, the process of putting this album together was painful. It was a real journey. Moreover, this isn't your typical album. As I stated earlier, you've got a mix of reworked songs and even some new tracks. But that's enough about the story. How about the album cover? We immediately notice the well-known Freddie Mercury statue, which is by Lake Geneva. This statue features Mercury striking one of his most iconic poses. On the back we see the remaining band members of Queen. They look out. I always like to think that they're reflecting on the past, perhaps remembering better times. If we look inside the album, the colour of the sky has changed to a darker blue. The three band members are now looking in the opposite direction to Mercury's statue. This may be touching on the fact that the band members need to now move on. The album cover holds a lot of meaning, and helps to establish the purpose of Made in Heaven. However, let's now discuss the music. We begin with a song that is rather simple, though that's what makes it so great. We can hear Mercury simply singing at a piano. In my opinion, this is a good opening track. It makes you think of a day having just begun. If you didn't know already, this track is taken from a 1980 recording in Munich. This was around the time Queen were recording for the Game album. And that's round about it. Lyrically, there's no real deeper meaning apart from It's a Beautiful Day. Made in Heaven. This is of course a reworked version of the Freddie Mercury solo track, which is featured on Mercury's solo album Mr. Bad Guy. I analysed the lyrics for this song nearly a year ago now, so check out that video if you wish to see a full-on analysis of the song. But in brief, the track is about Freddie Mercury's thoughts on fame. Hence the title, Made in Heaven. Freddie is told by the public that he is made in heaven as they see him as a god.
Made in heaven, made in heaven, it was all meant to be.
In terms of the instrumentation, it's loud and certainly impactful. In addition, there's now that Queen sound we're all too familiar with. With this Queen version of the song, there is an added guitar solo, which I believe gives this version of the track its own identity. Sure, the original will always be my favourite, but it would be idiotic of me to discard the fact that this 1995 version is still amazing. Following after Made in Heaven is Let Me Live. This track may remind you of another Queen song, that being Somebody to Love. They both share that gospel sound. Personally, I don't particularly like this track. Don't get me wrong, it starts off nicely, but after 3 minutes, I've had enough. From looking at the song's title, you will most likely think that the song was recorded around the final years of Freddie's life. However, that is perhaps not the case, because it is rumoured that Let Me Live was originally meant to be featured on Queen's 1984 album The Works. Something else I thought I'd mention is the fact that this track reached number 9 on the UK singles chart. This honestly caught me off guard, as not even Queen fans tend to mention Let Me Live. But anyways, next song. Mother Love. Alright, let's get the elephant out of the room. The last time I discussed this track was in one of my first and worst videos. Listen, I'd only just started this channel, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I barely discussed the actual track. So that's why today I'm finally going to discuss this song. Let's get it right this time. Firstly, everyone knows the story. This was one of the last songs Freddie ever recorded his vocals for, and from listening to the singing on Mother Love, you wouldn't have known that Mercury was very ill. The instrumentals are haunting yet powerful. It's all rather somber. I remember hearing this song for the first time. I was moved by the track, especially when it came to the chorus. Many aspects of Mother Love are sad. If that be the ending where we hear Mercury's vocal improvisation, then his cover of Going Back by Jerry Goffin and Carole King, and finally the sound of a baby crying. But the most upsetting part of this song is probably the fact that Brian May had to finish the vocals for the track. Here's what May had to say in the Days of Our Lives documentary.
And we got to the last verse and he said, "Oh, I'm not up to this now, I need to go away and have a rest. I'll come back and finish it off, you know." And he never came back. That was the last moment that I had with him in the studio.
In terms of meaning, Mother Love is about Freddie coming to terms with his inner struggles of dealing with his illness. These two lines have always stood out to me when it comes to this track.
I'm a man of the world, they say that I'm strong, but my heart is heavy and my hope is gone.
I finally discussed Mother Love correctly. My life has been saved. Now, if I remember correctly, this song was the B-side to Scandal, although the track has been changed ever so slightly. Here's a comparison, see if you can hear the difference.
I read it in the papers. I read it in the papers.
So which version's better? Well, probably the 1995 version, although I'm not the biggest fan of this track. It just doesn't seem to go anywhere. Luckily, we now have a reworked version of I Was Born to Love You. Deciding to rework this track must have been a no-brainer. This is undoubtedly one of Mercury's top solo songs. The official Queen YouTube channel has a video for the 1995 version of Born to Love You. The music video created here is pretty nice. Sure, the footage is mainly just the I Was Born to Love You original music video, and Queen performing at Wembley in 1986, but still, it's good. The different cuts help to complement the pace of this electrifying track. Much like what Queen did with the song Made in Heaven, they did here too. It's loud and powerful. Here's a brief comparison.
To
I know that was brief due to copyright, however, you get the idea. Personally, I will always prefer the original, yet this version is still awesome. And I like the ending where we hear a clip of Freddie's vocals from a variety of songs, such as Living on My Own and A Kind of Magic. The only gripe I have with this track and Made in Heaven from earlier is that these two songs lose their impact quickly. There's very little build-up, so all we have is this constant sense of tension, which ends up becoming meaningless. However, despite this is one of Made in Heaven's strongest tracks. Heaven for Everyone. This track was written by Roger Taylor. Because you're watching this, you must be far enough down the Queen rabbit hole to know that this track was featured on Shove It, an album by The Cross. If you didn't know already, The Cross was a bit of a side project for Taylor. Honestly, I really like this song. The instrumentals have a whimsical sound, and compared to the original, I prefer this Queen version. I mean, the original is great, but come on, we've got Mercury on vocals here. Anyways, let's now discuss my favourite track on this album, Too Much Love Will Kill You. First things first, it's only necessary that we compare the original and this version. I'm sure many would agree that this 1995 version of the song is the best. While the original Brian May solo version of Too Much Love Will Kill You is astounding, the version on Made in Heaven is just that little bit better. And I believe it's due to the fact that Mercury is singing. By no means is May a bad vocalist. In fact, he's pretty good. Yet, Freddie has that real power which is required for a song like this. Here's a quick comparison. In terms of the instrumentation and lyrics, Too Much Love Will Kill You is poignant and moving. The choruses are strong. This is due to Freddie Mercury's astonishing vocals and the terrific instrumentals. The video is great, mainly consisting of music videos and live performances. This song is tear-jerking, but probably the best track on Made in Heaven. You Don't Fool Me. Now, I have to admit, the instrumentation is top-notch here. The instrumentals alone make this one of my favourite tracks on here. It's funny how the songs seem to get better as we reach the end of the album. The only aspect of You Don't Fool Me that doesn't work is the lyrics. The meaning is painfully clear. It's about a girl that is trouble. You need to keep away from her as she'll lure you with her pretty eyes and sexy smile. I wish the lyrics would tell us more, as it's just so brief. The song doesn't go anywhere lyrically, however, I'm willing to accept that the lyrics aren't great. This is because I can accept the fact that the instrumentals were the main focus here, and in that aspect, You Don't Fool Me is spectacular. Following after is one of my must-play Christmas songs, A Winter's Tale. Not to get mixed up with the David Essex song, which, may I add, I love too. Freddie Mercury was inspired to write this song when looking out across Lake Geneva. The lyrics describe the beauty of the winter season. As Mercury wonders, am I dreaming? How is the world this magnificent? The instrumentation has a dreamlike quality to it. The song helps you to de-stress during the Christmas period. The music video has always been one that I love. Apparently those are indeed Mercury's song notes on screen, which is a neat addition. This is probably Queen's best Christmas song. Sorry, Thank God It's Christmas. It's a Beautiful Day reprise. At first, this may seem identical to the first track on this album, However, it soon becomes a heavier rock version of It's a Beautiful Day. Also, samples from 7 Seas of Rye are here too, so it's a bit of a mess really, but it's an interesting track. Another intriguing song is the oh-so-random Yeah track.
Yeah.
Fun fact, this is the shortest song in Queen's catalogue. Moreover, the yeah that Mercury says is taken from a song called Action This Day, which was featured on Queen's infamous Hot Space album. Listen, this track isn't full of meaning, and there's clearly not much more I can say. So, the final song on Made in Heaven. Track 13 is a strange song. It lasts for around 22 minutes. There's a mix of everything in here. The opening chords of It's a Beautiful Day looped, and Mercury's voice echoing. It's rather haunting, but in some ways relaxing. 13 is a mysterious track, but hey, maybe this is some Queen fans' pride and joy. In summary, Made in Heaven is an album that you will either think is okay or amazing. If you go in with the mindset that a lot of the tracks on here are not original and are simply reworked, well, you're not going to get much from Made in Heaven. Although, if you solely think of this album as its own thing, and try to forget about the fact that not many of the songs on here are completely original, I mean, you may even consider Made in Heaven to be one of Queen's best albums. I have to admit, the structure is good. Sure, the ending is a bit of a mess and at times uninteresting, yet most of the album will keep you engaged. If you're interested or curious, consider checking this album out. Though, if you are at all unsure about Made in Heaven, you should perhaps consider skipping this one, because you're not missing out on much. As I stated earlier, you can look at this album in one of two ways, and that's the important thing to remember. This has been a video discussing Queen's grand finale, Made in Heaven, and until next time, bye. Hello, I hope you enjoyed the review. What are your thoughts on the album Made in Heaven? What album should I review next? Subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this video if you enjoyed it, and most importantly, share this video to anyone who may be interested. Until next time, stay safe, goodbye.